Hi guys, hope keeping well. While I'm out here, I thought I'd do another little bit of this bike which I've been working on now. This is the Kyosho Yamaha YZ250, which I've actually altered all the back so it's not sticking up in the air, whatever, like you've seen in the other videos. I did upload a little video of it running. I've been trying each week to perfect it, doing little bits on it, and last week had quite a good little run round, so it's on YouTube if you want to watch the little video. It's under Black LMS, as you know. You can subscribe to my channel if you want or not. It's up to you. So the latest upgrades I've been doing to this bike, because it takes a lot to get one of these running. The biggest problem I had was with the clutch. To start off with, we had, turn this around. Now the clutch is in there, and no matter what I did, I tried heavy shoes, I put a liner in there, I just could not get it to bite. So it was just sort of revving and it weren't sort of going anywhere. But I thought to myself, I'll have another look at the manual. When I did, I see that they use a leading shoe, so you've got the springs around the other way, so it gives it more bite. So I made another set of shoes, quite heavy, and I put a light spring around them. I've actually got drive. It's still slipping just a tiny bit. As you see in the video, it's still slipping a tiny bit. But the grass on the main football pitch there was really thick and it was struggling to get through there. Once it got onto where the little bit of road is, it went quite well. And you could hear the engine sort of picking up with the clutch, and you could see it sort of starting to go really well. So I was quite happy with it. I had a couple of good runs, but I've had trouble with the servos and stuff like that. It steers beautiful. I couldn't get the brake to work that well. So I'll just show you the few changes that I've made. And the biggest one really is to put twin needles on. This is because gravity fed, if you imagine when that tank's full up, it just wants to pour fuel into the engine and everywhere. It locks up, you get hydraulic locks, and you can do a lot of damage with it, you know. I've actually got it starting quite easy now. I've got a remote glow on there, so I hold it on there, I whiz it over, and as I'm turning it over, I leave the needle on the other side is set to optimum sort of performance, and I just wind this one open as I'm running it on the starter, and all of a sudden you hear it fire and away it goes. It's really like easy kind of stuff to do. Now, I've been having a bit of problem with the radio. It's probably my fault. I put some old servos in there. But what I've done now, I've got an Ace on one side at the moment, but I went this morning and I bought a servos. And this is for the throttle and the brake, because I had HS65, I think, in there, and I don't know what's wrong with them servos, but they couldn't pull the skin off a rice pudding, really. I don't know what they use them for, maybe aeroplanes or something. But I had an old Ace one, what I used to have on my SB5 on the front brake, and I don't know why I took it off, because it was actually working. That's quite a powerful one as well. But I'm probably going to end up getting another servos. They're quite expensive, but they work really well. It's got so much power. So I'll just plug this in and show you the way I've got the radio set up. So we've got direct steering, which works very simple. It's only a little thin wire goes on there. If you can see it underneath. Right, if you can see them two servos, I've got that one. That one works for steering, and I've got this one. If you can see that works throttle and brake. Now, I've never been able to get any sort of brake on this. It's a kind of bit of a weird setup. It's got like a sort of brake shoe in here, and I don't know what it's made of. It's a really weird sort of material. But obviously with the other servos, I couldn't get like enough pull, Whereas now I've got quite a good brake on there, so that's going to be very helpful as well. So I've actually screwed this onto it. I didn't really want to drill through there because this is not very strong, but I thought, well, it's got holes in other parts of it. But I mean, when you look at the manual, it just shows you like a little thin piece of piano wire that goes up to here, and I can't see how that would work. You've got to have something here to hold the cable. I mean, you can see, I mean, it doesn't move a lot, but it really does actually pull up that brake. Now, I don't know if I told you guys, but I actually made this alley back wheel. I got fed up the plastic one. Where are we? I've got a crack on it. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. It's coming apart. And all the fuel was taken off, and I got really cheesed off with that. So I did do a little video on making the back wheel. It's come out absolutely fantastic. And I've got another. Can you guess what that's going to be? Yeah, front wheel. So I've got to go through it all again and make a front wheel. Not looking forward to it, but you know, I think the bike deserves it. You know, it's got, it's a beautiful little thing, and at some camera angles, you know, it looks just awesome. And I think, you know, I've got the alley wheel on the back. It's a lot stronger. I've had no spokes come out or anything like that since I've done it. So I'm going to build one for the front. Not looking forward to spoking it. It's just a nightmare. But I kind of learnt I built the rear one, and I learned if you just put like a little bit of Evo stick on them, just tack them in, it gives you half a chance of building the wheel, and it wasn't too bad. But truing it up again is awkward because obviously the other one's plastic and you can move it around really easy, but this one, being alley, is you know, not so easy. And the other thing, the tyres on these, what they were like a carcass of rubber, and then this row of knobbles came in like a sheet. I think I told you before in the last video, it's like a thin rubber with the knobbles on, and you glue them on. Well, the guy done a good job, whoever did that years ago, but they all started coming off, peeling off the thing. So I've ended sort of almost making my own rear tyre. I've actually glued these knobbles on. I've made them out of a rubber car mat, and I put them on because what was happening was, if they're not glued to the tyre and only glued to the little skin of rubber on the top, they tend to come off. So if there's any rubber left, I've just cut round it and so it glued to the tyre. Now, I ran this last week for quite some time and it didn't lose one knobble off there. So you can save these tyres, and you've only got to make, you know, if you've got an old car mount or something, you can slice up the rubber, just put it on, and then you can make your own little knobbles, and you put them on, and then you can just sand them, you know, and get the shape right, something like that. It's not too bad. I also changed the exhaust. Now, I had a very thin tube on that originally, and a mate of mine said that could be restricting a lot because, you know, it was I think it was only about 6mm diameter, and if you blew down it, you could, because it's a long bit of tube, you could feel like the resistance. So whether that gave me more power for it to get up and running last week, I'm not so sure. Now, the thing I've been looking at for some time on this bike is this idler gear. This idler gear here, it was an 18 tooth, and the mesh on the drive gear, which you can't see, there's a gear there. That's what comes from the engine down through there, through the idler and onto the clutch. Now this gear here was hardly meshing. It was an 18, and it was just about on the tops of the teeth. It was like horrendous. The gear mesh was terrible. So I was looking at it and I thought, I wonder, it was like the gear was too small. And like it had been changed. But the strange thing is, I've got a lot of spare gears and they're all 18 tooth, which I do not understand. So I bought myself a 19 and I've machined it, put 2 ball races in it, and it fits perfectly. It's as though it's made to be in there. Now, bearing in mind, this is only a little OS 10 engine. It doesn't deliver a lot of power. I'm wondering whether it can't pull this gear, because by putting another tooth on there, I'm actually gearing it up. So I'm wondering whether they couldn't, because you know there's hardly any videos, there's hardly any people running these bikes, I think, apart from me. And I'm wondering if Kyosho actually, back in the day, with this little 10 engine, could not get it to actually run, you know, because it was over geared. And I'm wondering whether they just threw an 18 on there to try and get a little bit lower geared. You know, I thought there'd be easy ways to do it, a chain or something like that. But I'm wondering now, because this fits here absolutely perfect, you know, just the right amount of play. But it does gear the thing up, and I'm wondering whether it's going to pull that gear. It's going to be interesting, because it's kind of marginal as it is. But once it gets going, it's not too bad. But the clutch is still slipping, but that might kind of wear itself in as well, because, you know, it got quite good last week, but one of the screws come undone on here. I've had to change a few little bits on there. One of the servos wasn't working properly, so now I've got decent servos. I've got a decent brake. I'm not sure if this gearing's going to be too much for it, but if you go back to that small 18, which I've got here, it hardly meshes, you know. I mean, it's right on the tops of the teeth. So I thought, and that is a steel one, that must be an aftermarket one from back in the day, but I've got this off RC Bearings, I think, and it's case hardened, so it's good, because you can machine it, put a ball race in there, and I've got a little bronze one in the back there. So, and that's, if you ever want to take one of these off, guys, remember this is a left-hand thread, as I found out. I had nothing on it, but I was trying to undo it and I couldn't, and then I realised it's a left-hand thread, so you be careful with that. So I've not had the engine out for a little while. It's all nice and all tight. I found a guy said to me, because I was looking at all different sealants for exhaust and parts like that. I've used a silicone high temperature sealant to go all around the engine, which seems to work fine. But I kind of keep having issues with these leaking here. And someone said to me, well, you use Evo stick. I said, Evo stick? I said, yeah, that's what a lot of people use, that instead of like a gasket material. So I put Evo stick around there, these little joints here, and out here. And honestly, it's not leaked at all. So I'm sort of amazed, really. I never thought that would actually work. So, you know, I've got a lot of changes on here at the moment. Let's switch that off. And the other thing, this is like a cover that comes with a model to actually go over there. So, you know, if I take this gear off, right, you can see the gears better now. See, that drives the idler, which drives down to that. So me making that bigger is going to gear that up on there. So, you know, whether Kyosho did change that as a last result, I don't know. But you can see it's perfect mesh. So we'll just try it. Right, where was it? Oh yeah, this is a rubber case. I mean, it's in terrible condition. This kind of covers up all them gears, and you can put a little bit of grease on it. And then you have the starter that goes on there. Well, obviously a lot of people have, you know, spun with a starter and it's taken gouges out. It's taken the Yamaha logo out there, and it's a bit perish, you know, it doesn't fit properly or anything like that. So I was wondering whether I can get anything kind of 3D printed. I don't know anyone, well, I do know one guy who you know, is just starting out on it. I don't know if there'd be enough coal out there for people restoring these bikes, because all these rubbers must perish, and, you know, I don't know if there's enough coal for a company to actually make, you know, the Gearbox cover. There's also, I've got missing on the other side, is there's another little cover that should go just there. It's a little hard plastic cover, and it's got Yamaha written on it. I'd love to have that, but obviously they're the things that fall off, so I think it just clips in. I've got the little chain guard there, and I've got another piece that's supposed to come down here, that's supposed to to sort of hold the chain up, because I don't know what it is with this. I've got a tight spot in the chain. I can't find where it's coming from. It's got a little run out on this actual gear here, on this pulley, so maybe it's coming, from that front sprocket. But you've got to run it loose, because it goes up to that tight spot there, and then that's why it is. I've adjusted it as best I can. I mean, you've got proper little chain adjusts on there. It's really nice. You can just nip it up each side, but you can't have any what can I call it? Anything dragging, anything. It's so marginal on the power. Once it gets going, it's all right. But sort of, if it's got long grass and that, everything on it has got to be free. Nothing's got to drag whatsoever. I mean, I had the brake dragging a little bit the other week, and it was it just wouldn't go. So I got everything nice and free, and it was good. And now I've got, with the better servos and everything like that, I believe we're going to have a better chance. But I'm going back to these little, whether I can get these 3D printed. I had a company, I think it's Shapeways. They made me. I had old Kyosho truck. I think it was the CVT something gearbox. It was a really weird sort of belt-driven, I forget what it was now, Torino truck or Pathfinder. That's what it was, Pathfinder. Quite a rare thing. I've moved it on now, but they got a very brittle sort of gearbox, and it's full up with oil. And Shapeways were making replacements. They weren't cheap, but they were really nice. But as I discovered to my cost, that it's porous. 3D printing is porous. So when I put the oil in, it started seeping through. So I had to clean it all up, and I sealed it inside, and it was okay. But with these, it doesn't matter. This is just for show on here, and the other side really. I can get away with this one. But it's not very nice. All the bike looks lovely, and it will when it's got the alley front wheel on. And we've got this horrible cover here. So if anyone out there knows, anyone who want to measure one of these up, or anyone making any parts for this bike, could you let me know? I mean, all the gears on these you can buy, from eBay. It's like my truck. My tyre and truck, I bought lots of gears from it, and they're not expensive, and they've all got 5mm centres, and they bolt straight on. You can change the gearing in like no time. And like this gear here, I found this gear was in the UK, and after a little bit of machining, it's gone straight on. So this is where we are with this bike. I was hoping to get a video of it running this week, but obviously the weather's not looking good. We've got both storms and whatever, so I'll probably be out here making this front wheel. So I really want to do something with the suspension as well on the front. The back's lovely because I've got rid of the standard one. I've made myself an old damper that goes right up in the frame there, so that's all with that. So I'm happy with where things are going. The back half of the bike is looking sort of good. The exhaust is working really well. I'm running it on 25% OptiFuel. I've tried all different fuels, from caster to everything like that. OptiFuel seems to run really well. When you think this bike, if you see that video, it's running around that field, it's got no gyros. It's just got a really simple steering setup on it, no gyros. And, if I can get a little bit more out of the engine, so when I slow down for a corner, I can sort of give it some to get out of the corner, like you do with a motorbike, it'll be great. Or if I can find somewhere with the grass is not so long, because that football pitch, they're letting it grow, and the grass is like wire. It's really tough, but when we run the cars up and down, it's not too bad. But because I didn't have a brake on it, and I've got no crash bars on it, nothing like that, you have to kind of turn it a little bit wide. So, but I'm sort of over the moon with it, really. I was so pleased to get that video, because I think I've never seen one running. I've seen the race rider, I've got a vintage race rider from about the same era as this, and I've got that going really well, and I'm really chuffed with that. But I have seen another one of them running, but I've never seen one of these actually run until I put my little video on. So I hope you like it. We're going to progress with this over the weekend. Hopefully I can get my wheel made. The seat's looking good. I might do a bit of work on the seat, and I want to put a switch on it. And like I say, if anyone knows anyone who can 3D print anything like that, just let me know. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. I'm going to sign out now. So all the best. See you in the next vid.